All right, hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of the TAQELAH online meetup. Yeah, glad to see a couple of guys joining already. I hope there will be some more coming in soon. We have a very interesting topic today, so I'm very happy to introduce Lai Mui for the second time. She's going to present for TAQELAH. And today the topic is visual testing with SerenityBDD Appium. So thank you, Lai Mui, and the stage is all yours. Just one more thing we're gonna have. We have a Kahoot quiz at the end. So after the presentation, please everyone stay on the call for a bit. Sham is gonna present that. And also, if you have any questions, just ping them into the chat of this meetup, and we're going to do it after the presentation. All right, Lai Mui, if you go. Thank you.
So today's webinar, we will be looking at visual testing with SerenityBDD and Epitools. So a little bit about myself. I have about a total of 20 plus years in the tech industry. So I started software development using C, C++, which is a very low level programming language. So then later I switched to QA. So I spent quite a number of years in release management and test automation development, mainly in the backend database environment. And for the past 7 years or so, I switched my focus to web and mobile apps automation, including UI and API testing. So my current interest is in helping teams to overcome agile transformation challenges by adopting the BDD DevOps approach and to set up test automation in the CICD pipeline. So I like to start off with telling you a real story. So this is what happened to a team who is about to release the software to the market, and they caught these visual bugs. So what happened is that the whole background of the screen that was originally white suddenly become red. So while this is not detrimental to the function, but the overall UI did not seem acceptable to roll out to the public. So not sure how this bug gets suddenly introduced, but the development process, they are supposed to be well governed, but the outcome doesn't always reflect this. So to fix this issue, right, it results in a new regression build. So the QA team had to spend like 1 to 1.5 days to retest the 38 test cases. So this is quite painful. So that's why today I like to share how we can address this pain point. So here are the agenda for today's talk. First, I will share about the test automation framework that I use, which is SerenityBDD, and what is visual testing, why we need visual regression tests, what is Applitools, using Applitools for visual validation, and followed by 3 demos. So SerenityBDD is really a great tool. So I personally like it very much because it uses the screenplay pattern, which follows the solid design pattern in programming. So it helps you to write cleaner and more maintainable automation, acceptance and regression tests. So the code itself is also very self-documentary. So it makes it very readable. And it also hides all the low-level WebDriver logic from you. So your code become even lesser. So, and one of the things, they have a lot of built-in utilities, which is already built in. So it comes available with this framework. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel to write a lot of codes. So if you are looking for a single framework that covers web, mobile, API, you can actually choose SerenityBDD. So next, let's talk about visual testing. So when we talk about visual testing, we focus on the look of the web page. So basically, it's testing your web's UI display is based on what your user expected. So when we talk about visual regression testing, right? If you are going to do it manually, it's really very time consuming. So imagine you have a web page that has so many UI elements to check. So in the market, we do have some open source visual regression tests, but I think they have some limitation because they are using screenshot comparison. And what happens if, let's say, you have a region that is dynamic? Yeah, so you can't go with that. And also, and another issue is that they use the pixel by pixel comparison. So this leads to a lot of flakiness. So meaning you have a lot of false positive tests. So if let's say there's a pixel difference, your test will flag as fail, but actually to the human eyes is actually okay. So with all this limitation, I'm going to introduce you to Epitools. So how Applitools compare images? So actually Applitools is founded in 2013. So Applitools uses the AI technology to compare the image, just like our human eyes could. So it takes snapshot of the DOM page instead of the actual image, so it is much faster. So another benefit of using Applitools is in terms of the visual validation. So using the eyes SDK, you just need to write that the less amount of code for validation check. So like, for example, if let's say you have a web page that has a lot of UI elements, and just imagine you have to write so many assertions. So, and also the other thing is that the UI might subject to change. So it leads to a lot of code maintenance issue. So with Applitools, you just have to call the SDK eyes, and it's much easier when it comes to maintenance. So the next few slides, I'm going to share with you how I built up this automation using SerenityBDD, Appium, and Epitools. First, you have to add the dependency to your PalmXml. So by the way, SerenityBDD is actually built on top of Appium and Selenium. Yeah, so you see the dependency is eyes, Appium, Java 3, and SerenityBDD is based on Java. Yeah, so next you need to typecast the driver to the web driver file. This is the code snippet. Then the next is you have to do some write this to your before and after hook. So basically before and after hook is just like your setup and tear down. So every test scenario when you run, you will call this before and after hook. So in the setup, you have to you call the on stage. This is actually coming from Serenity libraries. And then you instantiate the eyes SDK. Then you also set the API key, which you actually set in the environment variable. But actually, this value, you have to get it from the Epitools dashboard. Then you call the eyes to take the full screenshot, and then also set the batch. So this batch is more for you to organize your test screenshot into different projects. Then at the end of the test, the after hook, you have to draw the curtain. This is the SerenityBDD API, and then you have to close your eyes. So in the given when then step, that's where you take those using eyes SDK to take those screenshots. So the open SDK eyes is actually my function, which I wrap it out to, if you go back to my screen earlier, I have this typecast driver. This is encapsulated inside these functions, open SDK eyes. Then you have to call the eyes checkpoint. Basically, this is just to take the DOM screenshot, and then you give it the name. Then after that, you have to close it. Then you move on to the next one. So this is just a quick snippet. So with that, I want to show you a demo. This is running on the mobile apps. So it's Appium SerenityBDD and Appletools. So it's a very simple React Native app. So this is the last screen. So I want to speed up a bit. Say, we come to the end of the test. So the next one, I want to share with you what you see in the Epitools dashboard. So the idea actually is you have to establish a baseline. So the first time when you run your test, you are established the baseline. So basically you have to do a manual check to check through that, make sure that these are all the screens that you expect to see. And once you establish the baseline, then you run the test the second time, it will check against the baseline. So if there is no bugs, right, visual bugs, then the test should pass. So I see if I can speed up a bit. I think also the reason why it's slow because every screen they are taking screenshot, or even for SerenityBDD. Okay, so the second time, this is the second time it runs. So because we did not have any bugs there, it should pass. It should show pass. So it's not right now it's comparing against the baseline. I think the rest are just running the test to completion. So the next I want to share, I want to introduce the visual bugs. Okay. Speed up a bit. Okay, now you have the color suddenly change rate, which is not expected. Yeah, so the third one is also color box change. So let me speed up a bit. Okay, so if you go to the Applitools dashboard, you will flag out as unresolved. Then you have to go in to see what are issue. So they will tell you the difference. They will highlight the difference to you. So this is what you see in the EpiTools dashboard. And this is how Applitools help you to catch all these visual bugs. Yeah. Okay. So this end my first demo. Let's go back to the slide. We need to move this. Okay, so next, I'm going to share with you some cool features in Applitools. One of the things is that you can use Applitools to ignore dynamic regions. So they have a few options here to handle all the dynamic content or region. So the strict is the default where you compare everything. And then you have the layout, which you don't care about the content. Then the content is you don't care about the styling, whether it's color or contrast. And the floating is when you have some animation or some movement in your page, then you want to ignore that part. Then the last one is to just explicitly ignore that region. So another thing for Applitools is that they have this ultra grid, which this is only for web, but mobile is not yet supported. So for web, they have this ultra grid, or they call it the ultra fast grid, where they allow you to configure you to run on different browser and viewports. So essentially, you are just running on one browser, and then it will just take screenshot of the DOM and render it on different browsers. So it's actually much faster if you are to compare to the test where you have to render on different browsers. So Applitools allow you to do this configuration. So again, I will run through the steps that I use to build out these web apps using Epitous and SerenityBDD. So you have to add this dependency to your PalmXml. Then you have to add the Epitools SDKIs. So once you add the dependency, when you right click, you will see this import, allow you to import all these libraries. So this is the setup and instantiate the I. So this is where you put your code in your before hook. So for web app, because they support this ultra grid, right? So you have to instantiate this visual grid runner, and then you pass it to the eyes. And then you call this setup eyes and all that. Then the after hook is you need to close the eyes. And also, they also support the Epitous report. So you can see this Epitous report at the end of your SerenityBDD report, which is like what you see here. So with that, I want to move on to the second demo. This is a web app where you want to ignore a region that is like dynamic. Try to speed out a bit. Okay, the test has ended, and next thing is I will go to the Applitools dashboard. Okay, so as usual, the first time is to establish the baseline. Then you run the test again. So the second time you will compare with your baseline. Let me speed up a bit. Okay, so the second time the test has finished and passed, Serenity will show pass, but actually there's a visual box that only Applitools can help you to catch. So because these are dynamic, so you will see the difference. But then actually this is the region that you want to ignore. So you can go to the Epitools and highlight that region and say you want to ignore this dynamic region. So once you highlight this, you have to save it, and then you want to ignore this region. So once you have to click the timeout and then save it. Then the next time when you run the test, you should ignore that region already. So I just want to speed up. Okay, so you run the test again. And the test pass, and then you go to the Epitools dashboard. Yeah, so the third time it will show as passed because you have earlier said that you want to ignore this region. Okay, so moving on. Okay, the third features that I want to share with you about Applitools is they have this root cause analysis. So this is what happened when I was working with a team developing web apps. So because I think IE 11 right now is end of life, but I think 2-3 years ago they are still supporting for some customer, especially those government sector. So there's a need to test it on IE 11. So because those older browser does not support Flexbox CSS. So what happened is that when the QA test this, they found there's this alignment issue. So, and the thing is that most of the developers, they are using MacBook. They don't have a Windows machine to test on this IE 11. So this is where Applitools can come in to help on testing this type of older browser. So again, you can use the ultra fast script to configure your browser. So in this example, I actually configure to run on Chrome and IE 11. So with this, Applitools has this features that allows you to diagnose, what is the thing that causes this alignment issue by giving you insight into the CSS, the DOM CSS. So with that, I will share with you the third and the last demo. Okay, let me speed up a bit. So the test has passed. Now I'm going to run one with purposely and making some change to the CSS. And then when you run the test, you will see the Epitools will flag out the difference. So the test pass, and if you go to the Applitools dashboard, the first page, right, is where I actually make some changes to the CSS. So they highlight the difference, and then you can actually go here to go to the root cause analysis and see what is causing the issue by examining the CSS. So this is the end of my last demo. Going back. Okay, with that, I have finished on. So let's do a quick recap what we have covered today. So I have introduced you to SerenityBDD and why we need visual regression tests and what is EpiTools, using EpiTools for visual validation, how I set up this using Appium Epitools SDKIs with SerenityBDD. I also show you how to set up Epitools SDKIs with SerenityBDD for the web app. So I also cover these key features in Epitools to ignore dynamic region and also to use the root cause analysis to give you insight into the cause of this visual mismatch. Yeah, so with that, I have come to the end of my sharing. Once again, I want to thank you, TAQELAH, for giving me these opportunities to share my experience. And I also want to thank my ex-colleague Isaac, who gave me very useful tips for me, helping me build this web app using Vue.js. So I leave with you my contact. If you are interested to find out more, you can reach out to me. And I also post some of the GitHub repo that I use for this demo. So yeah, with that, I just want to hand over to Martin.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Laimui. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I see we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone has any more, just keep adding them. There's a question from Komal. What's the underlying logic of visual tests here? Is it like screenshots are compared against baseline images? I think you covered it.
Yes. Let me go back to the screen. Yeah, I think it's this one. Right, it uses the algorithm to compare the image, and actually it takes screenshot of the DOM page. So it's not taking the actual image itself, it's actually taking the DOM page. Because when you talk about visual bugs, it's usually the DOM, the issue with the DOM page. Is the underlying logic. Okay, this is answered. No, that's why it is differentiate from those technology that uses pixel by pixel. So for pixel by pixel, the issue is that even a small pixel change, it will flag as false positive. But actually, if you look at your web page, it's okay to the human eyes. It's not an issue. I hope I answer your question. In case of
yeah, I think you also answered the next one, which would be, does it flag an error even for pixel difference? I guess it depends on how you configure it.
Yeah. So for pixel by pixel, it tend to be very flaky, because sometimes to the human eyes actually it's okay, but because they are using the pixel by pixel, they will flag it out as an issue. Actually, to us, to a user who see the web page, actually it's not an issue. So the next question is, in case of baseline image comparison, how the issue like dynamic data handle what's between?
Yeah, I think Kamal already mentioned it.
Oh yeah. You can ignore that page. Already covered, yeah.
Now we have two more. Is Applitools support only for web automation? I think that is whether it also supports mobile.
Yes, it also supports native mobile, but the ultra fast script is the one that is not supported in mobile apps yet. Currently, it's being supported in all the different web framework, including the SerenityBDD, which I show it to you today.
And we have another question from Komal. Is it possible to mark a pull request as failed? So the question is about how would you integrate this into a build pipeline? Because also in your demo, there was one example where it passed in your Maven build, but you could still see the error on Applitools side. So I think that's related to what Komal is asking here. How would you flag the build as failed?
Yeah, so I have not tried integrating to the CI yet, but for Epitools, they also have a report that is. I'm trying to move this away. Okay. If I open the report here. This is the last demo that I showed. The report is gone. I do one again. Anyway, I think I showed that in one of my slides. If you go to the SerenityBDD report, at the end, if you drill down, they will have this Epitous report. So from here, if let's say there's a vision bug, you should be able to see the difference. So that means what I'm saying is that the Serenity report, it has its report, but at the end, you can also attach the Epitools report to it. So besides looking at the Serenity report, you also have to check your Epitools report to see whether there's any visual bugs. Did that answer your question? So CICD is something I have not tried, but it should flag it using the report.
Yeah, maybe I can add on to this. From what I remember using Epitools, it should be possible, but I also don't know the details. I think they have an API where you can, your CI/CD pipeline could check whether there are failures and then react based on that.
Yes. So the question, how do I use the API key? Yeah, the API key, they do give you if you go to the Applitools dashboard, right, you can go here, my API key, you can click and then you get the value. But they give you some trial period for you to try out that tools, and after that you got to pay for it.
Oh, yeah, that's Premraj's question. Probably the most important one: is it free or paid?
Yeah, it's not free. As what I mentioned earlier, there are some open source tools in the market for visual regression tests, but then all this got its own limitation. Like for example, dynamic region you cannot check, but Applitools provide you this capability to ignore dynamic region. They also give you this root cause analysis and also allow you to configure on different browsers. So you can configure as many as you want, but for open source, I think they have a limitation. Probably they can support up to 1 or 2 browsers. So I think that's a big difference. So of course it comes with a price, but the ROI is you save up your time. And as what I mentioned earlier at the beginning, I tell you this story, right, when the team, before they even roll out to the market, they found this visual bugs. So then it leads to the QA team having to spend 1 to 2.5 days retest the whole test cases. Yeah.
Yeah, we have one question from Wai Shan, I think. Did you still encounter flakiness issues?
As far as SerenityBDD is concerned, so far I don't have any flakiness issue. Yeah, because SerenityBDD is like they have already handled all this behind the scene. They already handle it for you. You know, if you are not using this, you end up you use a lot of thread dot slip. All this can worsen the problem. So in SerenityBDD, if I can quickly show you some of the code that I use, like okay, maybe the slide code snipper I have shown some example where they actually make sure, like for example, this one, if you look at this slide, eventually see that this is visible. So it makes sure that your button, your UI is visible before you interact with it. So a lot of those flakiness issue is due to the response time of your page. So even before the page is loaded and you go and interact with the element, you are going to lead to a lot of all these flakiness issue. So that's also one of the reasons why I like SerenityBDD, because they have all this built-in the API already handling this for you already. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I guess we have time for one more live question if anyone wants to ask something. Otherwise, I would hand it over to Shyam for the Kahoot quiz. Do we have any final question? All right, then thanks again, Laimui. Thank you for the nice talk.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for the questions.
So I need to reshare again. One second. Is everyone able to see the screen? Then you can go to kahoot.it and enter this PIN number. So please try to input your real name. Otherwise, it will be quite problematic to identify who's the winner if you win the prize. And if you haven't played this game before, so the questions will be displayed on the screen, and you can see the options on your phone. So, for example, there is a true or false answer. You can see two options on your phone, and you can click on the right answer based on the color which is shown on the screen. So please note out that if there is two people make the right answer, more points to given to the user who submitted the correct answer first. So act yourself first and get the maximum points. We will be selecting the top 3 users. The top 3 users will be getting $50 voucher each. We will be waiting. We will share one more time. We will start in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. So first question comes here. You can just read the question and try to hit true or false. Yeah, it's false. So it's Appium SDK, not Selenium SDK. Next question. Kahuti. Ah, nice name. It's element by image. Appium provides you this option to visually verify. Again, Kahuti in the first place, LM second place. Third question. It's John Ferguson. Wow, LM strikes. Next question. Yeah, everyone got the correct answer. Congratulations. Next question. It's another true or false question. Yeah, Appium supports. Okay, Kahuti is still in first place. Mary Grace come to the second one. Seventh question. So how baseline has been formed? Or what are the criteria? Yeah, it's report. Okay, tight competition. Eighth question. Yeah, the support. So basically you can have two versions of the screenshot and it can, if either of it is true, then it will be taken care. No changes in the first three positions. Ninth question. That is extract, not extract. Okay, so there's a big gap between Hakuti and LM, and the final question. Simple question, simple answer. Yeah, it supports. So congratulations to third place. Hati, congratulations. LM, congratulations. And first prize goes to Hati. Okay. Please take a screenshot on your phone and send us from your email ID to you can email to TAQELAH@gmail.com to claim your prizes. So we will be giving the e-gift on your email. So we can wind up. So we are recording this session. It will be available on YouTube after a couple of days. So thank you everyone. Thank you Taimul. Thank you Martin. And thank you Prime for designing the posters. Thank you everyone. One more time. Have a great evening.